Welcome back to another episode of Black Girls Texting. It's me, Sade. Who are you, biatches?
Chelsea, Pinky,
and Glenn, aka Bed-Stuy Brat. What's up, y'all?
Hello. Glenn's looking all blonde. She's a blondie. She's got her brows.
Mm-hmm. What are we leaving on red and replying to this week, y'all?
I'm pretty quick. I am leaving my breasts on red. I have probably said this a million times. I really think I'm getting a breast reduction. I'm going to do a consultation in September and then hopefully just cut them by winter time.
Cut. Ew.
Cut it.
Yeah.
Cut it. She's not.
Cut it.
Okay, what are you replying to?
Your tits are too big. You need to cut it. Sorry, I was.
Oh my god, she just went with it.
I had to. Also, Dr. Gavami, if you want to give me a discount, I'd love that. Thanks so much. I'm replying to, I hope I'm pronouncing their name correctly, Alex Menon. Alex is a non-binary activist. They're very vocal about the, I think, plight of the non-binary experience. And they were on a podcast. I can't think of the podcast name. I'd sent it to you guys. One of the guys was on Jane the Virgin, like one of the main male characters. And he started this podcast to kind of like explore what manhood means. I want to say it's something like Unpacking Manhood or something along those lines. But Alex, I hope I am saying their name correctly.
It's Man Enough Podcast.
Oh, Man Enough Podcast. Alex was on the podcast and just kind of describing how the non-binary and trans experience really challenges the way we understand gender, and like the real route to kind of like getting free from the hetero patriarchy is to really unpack what it means to identify as non-binary and or trans. And it was really, really interesting. It made me think a lot because there are these like constructs that like we then tie a lot to and like uphold that leads to a lot of the violence that we see. So I really enjoyed hearing their perspective. It was so eye-opening. Maybe we can repost it or share it so all the listeners can find it. But yeah, that is what I'm replying to.
Yeah, I thought that was great too, Sade. Thanks for sharing that with us. You ready, Chelsea?
No.
Okay. You look like you're about to speak. I'm gonna reply to my reading group and our recent read. Y'all, I had to read this book in like 2 days. I don't know how the hell I did it. It gave us a month. The meeting is on Wednesday.
Oh my God.
Monday, I'm one chapter in. Bruh, I just sat and I just read the book. I just read it. Anyway, the book was called These Ghosts Are Family. It's by a Jamaican author named Maisie Card. And it was really cool because in my workshop, my professor brought the author in at the end of our meeting and we got to talk to her. It's just a crazy ass story about generational trauma and as this family, and as you go further back and throughout their family line, you meet like white people in their family and you hear from all these different perspectives and the way that they've held on to this trauma. It is wild. It's incredibly written. It's just crazy. And the way it begins is like the father in this family, like the patriarch, he is working a job in the UK. And in the UK, wow, I can't do it. I can't do it.
It literally went through my head as soon as you said it. I went,
think I have a problem. I think something's wrong with me. What is wrong with me? Wow. For the listeners, that's just something that we do. I don't know why. I don't know where it came from. But if we say the UK, it has to be the UK. Anyway, so he's working a job in the UK and the people that he's working for think that he and his coworker look a lot alike. So his coworker gets killed in like a shipping accident and he pretends that he's the one who passed away, abandons his whole family and takes on a new identity. Wild. That's like the first 2 pages of the book and it continues to get crazy. So I
The
recommend
drama.
the drama. What am I leaving on red? I mean, this is just only because it's top of mind. Gossip Girl. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
You're still
on this
watching
fucking
it?
show. I can't stop. Like, I'm entertained by it, but
It's
it
not
makes
good.
no sense. It is not. It doesn't make sense. Why would
I
the
love all the
teachers be
black
Gossip
things
Girl?
though. Like they put Christopher Rogers and they put Jeremy O'Harris, but
I know every
besides that.
episode, like the last episode I saw yesterday or that came out today, technically had Princess Nokia on it. They shouted out
Oh.
Tyler Mitchell. It's like every time they name like a tastemaker is somebody black or brown, which
Yeah.
is very cool. It's trying to be current, but the show just doesn't make any sense. And I'm tired of watching these two black leads like pick on each other and try to fuck up each other's lives and for no reason. Like,
I know you're very passionate, but what am I going to say to you?
what?
Stop slapping your
Oh,
body
shit.
or the table or whatever is near you to slap.
Sorry, y'all. Go ahead, Chelsea.
I'm going to leave retinol on red. I tried retinol, and you may not be able to tell, but my skin is peeling off. This whole area, the cheek, under eye area, literally is in pain, hurts to touch. Ow. And yeah, I'm leaving that on red. Everyone on Instagram is like, retinol, you got to put retinol in your skincare routine. So
Did
my
you use
dumbass bought
sunscreen?
it. Yes, I use sunscreen every day. That's one thing I'm very good at. I always use sunscreen.
That's strange.
Yeah. So retinol, my skin might be too sensitive.
I'm going to say I have more questions. Is this a straight up retinol? Is this a retinol in a serum?
It's only 1% retinol. It's Paula's Choice.
Oh, Paula's Choice.
Which was like highly recommended to me, but
yeah, I use something
not
called
everything is for everybody.
I think. My derm recommended some retinol to me, but sometimes I be wilding out and it's too much. You got to use that shit so sparingly.
Yeah, my friend was like
very
that.
Powerful.
My friend said her dermatologist told her that basically it causes the cells to like turn over, so
Exactly.
it's normal. But I don't necessarily want to put something on my face that causes the skin to peel off.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
I just looked up mine and
me.
mine is 1% too, and I use it every day. I don't know.
But
yeah, you
everyone's
just have
skin is
sensitive
different.
skin. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is your first time ever using anything with a retinol?
It is my first time ever using anything with a retinol. And then the day after, I did go to the pool.
Yeah.
But I had on sunscreen, and it was the day after. Like, are you supposed to wear retinol and like never see the sun?
I don't know, girl. Might need a real strong sunblock, but yeah. Ain't no joke.
Little sensitive skin. You have to go hit up our good sis at Brooklyn Face and Eye, and maybe she can assess.
And then I'm also leaving something else on red. I'm leaving fucking these people with these bots, these resellers that buy up everything. I've been trying to get the Travis Scott, the new Royal Blue Jordan 1s, and unless you have a freaking robot, it's literally impossible. And it's just so annoying that, like, I mean, it's not totally annoying because for other reasons, but this like hype culture, it's just like everyone wants to get the same thing. It's like people don't even get what they like anymore. They just get what other people
it's like
tell
to collect
them to get.
Too, yeah. But like
it's like half of you guys don't even care. You just are buying it to. It's so annoying. Anyways,
it's like a competition thing too. And
there's like this. I was following Soul Collector on Instagram, and literally this person got like I think 200 pairs.
Yeah.
Because they have bots. I'm like, that is so unfair. Like, it's so fucked up.
That's unnecessary.
And it's just not cool. Like, some of us just like sneakers and like just want to wear them. Like, I'm not trying to resell them. I want to wear them. Like, that's not, I like stuff for me. And like, I can't even get them. So if any one of our listeners wants to send me a gift, I am a size 6.
Aren't you the plug now though?
Franco, please cut that out.
Oh.
And just let me know. Thanks.
A gift though? Like not like you're not gonna pay for them? They're just gonna give them to you?
I mean, if they have a plug.
Sometimes people be having plugs. I watch these people just get shoes delivered to their house because somebody knows somebody. They probably be
And
friends
my
with these
plug is
bot
playing
people.
games. He out partying in Miami.
Wait, you have a plug?
Of course I do.
Oh, excuse me. All right. Anybody got a hotline that's blinging?
Do, 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 do.
No
My
one.
hotline can't bling anymore, but
Oh, she's cuffed.
Oh, she's a wife.
She's basically cuffed.
I did tell my old hookup, I guess, the death of the bling. Like, yeah, sorry. It's like, it's
Give
over.
him to Glenn.
Wait, D?
Yeah.
Give him to Glenn.
No,
Glenn
that makes me
doesn't want
uncomfortable.
Why? He's so cute.
So cute.
I think I like I said, I'm too old. I can't do that.
Squirt.
It's no.
Ew, Sade, that's disgusting.
Well, yeah, I had to be like, sorry. He was like, wow, I'm really happy for you. It's like, thanks, D, pal, buddy.
I know we said that Hotline Bling is a segment that's for more than just text from boys, right? But it always seems like it becomes text from boys. I'm over here like, damn,
Literally
do I have any other type of texts? Do I have any other type of
I
text?
have plenty of other type of texts. I could go on and on and on.
I mean, I do. I mean, I told y'all both on the side, and I've spoken about this person before on the show that Sade's mom is trying to hook me up with. And I was just been kind of fronting for a long time. I know, like that was why I prefaced it that way. Like, damn, I wish I could give y'all something else but a boy, but alas, it's a boy. But yeah, I'm going out with him after this. I hope it doesn't rain. And
it's raining.
Oh, it's not raining in
by
Brooklyn
you?
yet. No, not yet, girl.
Oh.
It's on its way, I'm sure. So our Black girl doing shit this week is Cheyenne. She is a makeup artist and a esthetician, and she owns I don't even know if it could be called a spa. It's called XO Beauty Lab. It's right in Brooklyn, right in Bed-Stuy.
Oh, I saw you went.
DeKalb. Fire, okay? They do everything in there. I went and I got dermaplaning, and I thought that I was just gonna get dermaplaned. It came with a whole customized facial, all of her materials.
Oh wow, her dermaplaning comes with a facial?
Correct. And
Cute.
The prices are so fair, and it was custom. She gave me an algae mask with rose and rose oil in it. I mean, it was just out of hand, and she has every fucking tool in the world. Like,
and she's Trinidadian. Shout out.
And she's our same age running this place. And it was the type of place, you go into like a salon and people be kind of rude, or like, I always feel a little bit awkward. I don't know who to go talk to. I walked in, she wasn't even at the front yet. They also have hairstylists that are right there on site. They were all like, hey, how are you? Welcome. Who's your appointment with? I just love that energy.
Yes.
So you can go there for a sewing. You can go there for braids. You can go there for multiple types of facials. They have a teeth whitening person in that. You can go there and spend the whole day and do, right? And nails. You could go there and get your whole makeup. Life and makeup, because Cheyenne beats a face. She did the makeup for my friend's wedding, all of the bridesmaids, my friend as well, and she's been getting her makeup done by her for years. She's so good.
Highly recommend. I'm gonna do some dermaplaning. Yeah,
it was next level.
Oh, I love this.
And we love a Black woman entrepreneur, and I was just so like impressed and proud. Like, damn, girl. And the space is gorgeous. So yeah, God, I can't.
And I think she designed the space by herself.
She did.
That's epic.
And it's stunning in there. It's just like the epitome of boss energy.
If you all were looking at Glenn's stories, at this point, it would have been like a week or so ago. This is the location that she went to and is referencing. So pull up if you're in the area, support Black business. Guys, I'm geeking the fuck out.
Gagging.
I'm fangirling beyond. You have no fucking idea. We have Tinx in the building. Tinx, aka Christina Najjar, is the breakthrough star behind the @It'sMeTinx account. Christina is an LA-based Stanford grad and former brand strategist, and now better known as TikTok's big sister. And I don't even have TikTok, so you've branched over to the other side of the IG world for us old bitches. But in less than a year, Christina has amassed over 1 million followers on her social media platforms, including her quintessential product reviews, Rich Mom, and other characters. And we love the mini mic with every step. You've worked with a range of brands, BMW, Mini Cooper, which I think you crashed one, but that's okay. Chipotle, Bliss, Spotify, The Real, and more. She has big plans for 2021. We're going to ask you for some of those, but not as big as the extra dirty martini she notoriously mixes. Welcome to the group chat.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you. This is so fun, and I can't wait to get into it with you guys.
Yes. I mean, we're all such big fans of yours, and I think we all started to find your content via your Rich Mom series. You were always sharing shit with each other. I was always like, oh my God, if I move to Beverly Hills, am I going to be this kind of mom? Like, what is it giving? I kind of looked to it like a guide. So how did that come to be?
Honestly, the Rich Mom thing is so funny because I'm a writer by trade, and one of the things that I like to do is like free write when I wake up in the morning just to get it out, like whatever I'm thinking. And a lot of the times when I was like working in corporate America, I would write these like Rich Mom characters. And then I would, like, back in the day, I've been doing this for so long and just like nobody knew about it, only my friends. I would like put it up on my Instagram story. I would put up my like lame little like Ann Taylor pantsuit, and I'd be like, this is this Rich Mom. And it was just like a fun, like creative activity I did to keep my brain awake. And then when the whole TikTok thing started to take off, I was like, this is so weird, my Rich Mom obsession, but maybe other people would find it funny too. And I tried it and people love it. And it's kind of, I sit right on the line of like, I'm like lovingly making fun of these stereotypes and that type of life. And it's like half satire, half loving. Like you said, some of it's a guide. It's just, it's all for fun. So that's the origin story of Rich Moms.
So Chelsea lives in Tribeca. What kind of Rich Mom is she? What would be like one staple as a Tribeca Rich Mom?
They love that green coat from Amazon that everybody has. Like,
yes, Chelsea owns that coat.
You do? Okay, so there you go. So like they love that because Tribeca Rich Moms are like low key. They're not too in your face. They're not like an Upper East Side Rich Mom, but they're, obviously loaded. And so they love the Amazon coat. They love getting coffee at Jack's on Reed Street. They love a little date night at La Conda. They love all their kids go to that, expensive Japanese school or whatever that, one is down there. They're iconic. I love Tribeca Rich Mom. They go to Dog Pound to work out.
Yes.
Yeah. All the things. So I think the irony and the interesting sort of tension between this is that like you seem to know these Rich Moms well, right? Like these are characters that you know intimately, spaces that you've also occupied. So it's like in sort of poking fun at certain privileges, you have some of those yourself. So sort of how do you reckon with that as you're creating content, even if you're living a Rich Mom lifestyle?
Yeah. Well, I think I lived in Tribeca for 2 years, for example, when I was in grad school. So I had a lot of like weird time off where like all my friends were at work and I would be like studying in a coffee shop, and I got to observe the Tribeca Rich Moms in the wild. I never want to be mean. I never want to be mean when I'm doing any of my content. So I try to stay on that line that I was talking about, like loving satire. Like, these women kind of know that they have crazy cool lives, and I have had some access to it sometimes, but I never want to go too far in the direction of mean and too far in the direction of I don't know, like exposing them or whatever. Because at the end of the day, it is satire, and these characters are made up in my head, and they're just kind of like the stereotypes run wild. So always wanting to be careful from every different angle.
Well, it's funny. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Glenn, Glenn's also a writer. So she wrote in like our briefing doc, like we both live in Bed-Stuy, and it's like Bed-Stuy rich mom. And it's like inherited a brownstone and multi-residence building from her family bought during white flight. And I'm like, oh my God, that's me.
That's her. Shops at Sincerely Tommy and buys fresh baguettes from Sarah every morning.
Yeah, exactly. There's all different rich moms, and for every city I do, I'll have like a consultant, and I'll find a friend who's like from that city, and I'll be like, what's the tea? Like, not just where do they go to coffee, but like, for example, the Greenwich, Connecticut one, I've never been to Greenwich. And so I talked to a bunch of friends, and they were like, this is where she gets her hair done. Like, this is this and that. And down to the detail of like the exact SoulCycle instructor that they have to share with, which like was like maybe a little bit too far. I was like, thanks, that was out of pocket. Like, that there's a SoulCycle instructor out there called Connor who probably wants to kill me, but I had to put it in. It was like such a juicy detail. So I love like learning about them. I don't know. I think making fun of coastal elites is hilarious, like in a loving way. And I fully appreciate I am a coastal elite. Like, I grew up in London, then I lived in San Francisco, then I lived in New York, and now I live in LA. Like, I'm a walking caricature of myself, and I get that. Yeah. But the way that I kind of like to process that experience is like through humor and through satire. So I guess that kind of better answers your previous question.
Yeah,
I got there.
You got there.
Yeah.
I mean, rich moms aside, what we really fell in love with was like your stories and you and your presence, and you're so open and vulnerable and giving with your time. There's this crazy story that you have that involves like candles and some burns. Yes. I don't know if our listeners have heard it. We think it's hilarious. Can you retell that story for us?
Yeah. So grew up in England, and then I moved to America to go to university, and I went to Stanford. And British people are very reserved with their emotions. So when I got to college, I was like, why is everyone hugging each other all the time? And like, why is everyone so touchy-feely? Anyway, I was seeing this guy, and he was like, you're really cold to me. We've been dating for like 9 months. You won't call me your boyfriend. Like, you won't hold my hand. And I was like, I like you, but this is a lot. But I didn't want to lose him. So I was like, what do American people think is romantic? And also, what can I do to show him? And I was like, okay, well, in every rom-com, the girl always has a lot of candles, like all over her apartment. So I biked to CVS. Yes, I still biked because I could not drive until the age of 22. And I bought like every Yankee candle. I'm talking like vanilla sugar cookie, like that kind of vibe. And then I like set up, my friends were like, this is a really whack idea, but if you have to do it, just please like make sure that you don't burn down our sorority house, because if you do, the sprinklers will go off and they'll ruin all of our clothes. And I was, the older girl said that to me, and I was like a freshman or sophomore. And I was like, oh my God, like I would never disrespect you. Like, don't burn down the sorority house, Tinx. So I put all the candles right by the window, which was next to my bed, because I thought like, okay, the smoke will go out the window. So I like create this setup, and it literally looks like I'm about to perform human sacrifice. There's like a bunch of candles, and it's also finals week, and Stanford is obviously incredibly geeky, so they take it very seriously. So everybody's like up, like studying, and we're about to go on Christmas break. And I call up the guy, and I'm like, I have a surprise for you. And he was like, okay, what? And I'm like, come over. So while he's coming over, I drink a bottle of wine.
Standard.
Trader Joe's, I remember it clear as day. My teeth were probably red. Then he gets there. He's like really genuinely touched by this show, because like clearly I've tried to make an effort. And so we drink another bottle of wine, and we start hooking up. And I'm like wasted at this point, and I like start to hear this beeping noise, and I was like, what is that?
No.
What is that? And I look on the bed, and my bed is on fire.
Girl.
And because the tip of the pillow had dipped into the candle, and because I'm a basic bitch, I have a lot of throw pillows, and so everything was ablaze. So I'm like, oh my fucking God. I dismount, and I'm like, oh my God, I was like, I have seconds to, the only thing I could think of, I didn't think about death. I didn't think about like anything. I thought about the older girl's clothes being ruined and how I would be like shunned by that.
Right.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, get the fuck out. And I'm like, all I was doing was like whacking the pillows together to try and get the fire out. Like, I don't no, whatever. By the way, the guy stood there doing absolutely nothing. By the grace of
Red
God,
flag.
I get the fire out. And I'm like, thank God, like, oh my God. The door swings open. I'm naked. He's naked. My entire sorority is standing. And they're like, Tinx, what the fuck? And I'm like, it's okay, guys. Like, I'm so sorry. Don't worry. The fire alarm didn't go off. We're good. We're good. And they're like, your hand. And I look down and I have like, it was bad. It was like charred meat, like no skin on my fingers. I was like, ah, and then I don't remember. I like went into shock. On the way to the hospital, to the ER, the guy played Sex on Fire by Kings of Leon.
No.
And I was like, and he was like driving and he was like rushing and he was like, I know this isn't funny now, but I know you're going to want it for the story one day because you're just that type of person. And I was like, I don't have a hand. Like, what the fuck? So we go to the ER. They like, it was so bad. I mean, that was like over 10 years ago because whatever. So imagine I had to Skype my mom in England. Imagine.
Oh my God. She must have been so scared.
6,000 miles away. And you get a Skype from your daughter. And I was like, hi, I'm going in to get skin grafts right now. So see you on the other side. Yeah, it was really bad. So, and I missed all my finals and I was literally in the Santa Clara burn unit. I didn't know this, but at the time, but every county has one burn unit. So I was in Santa Clara and I had to sleep with my hand tied to the ceiling because it was so infected. It was a mess, you guys. It was literally so bad. And the worst part was when I got back to school, not only did I have to wear like a Michael Jackson style compression glove, like for the entire 6 months, but also again, dating myself with like how old I am, but I had all these like Facebook messages that were like, we heard that you tried to set Owen on fire, like in bed or like,
what? Wait, what
like,
sorority were you in?
I was in Theta and they were like, you're into pyromaniacs or like you're whatever. And I was like, no, I wasn't. I was just trying to be like
sexy
and sexy. And so the cheesy moral of the story is like literally just be yourself. And by the way, we dated for 3 years because I had the thought that like when I was being rolled into the emergency room, I was like, well, now my hand is mangled, so I better lock this guy down.
And he should feel like
valid,
guilty, right? Because you did it for him, so he has no choice. But
literally, and I was like,
remain.
Be my boyfriend. Let's check on fire story.
That is hilarious. And now you made me think about Stanford. And now I'm thinking about Issa Rae, who also went to Stanford. And recently she came out as like married, and everyone's like, that's how I want my relationship to be. Like pop out married, like don't show anything on Instagram, move in silence, blah, 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 blah. I have a boyfriend. I post him on Instagram. How do you feel about posting on Instagram? Should you wait till you're married to pop out on IG?
It's actually really funny. You mentioned her. I just finished her book, which is amazing if you guys haven't read it. And I like respect her so much because she's very like, that's just kind of the way she operates. I feel like she will do it and then she'll say she did it. And I do appreciate that in both celebrities and also normal people. Like, I think it's always, this isn't the question you asked, but I'm just saying like, I always think it's kind of sus when people are like, I'm going to do this and that. And like, I'm going to do this and da, 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 da. And she just does it. And then she's like, by the way, I did this. And I think that that's very classy and cool. And I really look up to her. Well, the boyfriend thing, I think if you are active on social media, it's pretty difficult to not mention like a big part of your life. Like you have a boyfriend, like it's a huge part of your life. So I don't know. I mean, I usually talk about the guys I'm dating with a nickname, like, because I do tell my followers everything. And then sometimes they cheat on you and then I have to do that whole video and whatever, but we'll get into that. And people keep asking me like, oh, are you gonna continue to talk about your dating life? Because obviously this was like a little bit humiliating. And like the answer is yes, I probably will, because I take my followers with me on every step of the way. And it's like, you know, who you're dating and like how you're feeling emotionally reflects. And like my followers know, they're so smart. Like they would know if something was up. So I don't regret it. Like I don't regret falling for him. I don't regret being vulnerable and telling everybody how happy I was, because I was really happy. And I will probably, and also whoever I'm dating will need to know that my most important relationship, this sounds bad, is like with my followers, not my most important relationship, but like that's a lifelong thing for me now. So they're going to have to respect that, I do tell my followers like how I'm feeling and stuff. So yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons why people like are obsessed with you and like love you and feel like you're their big sis is because you're vulnerable. And I think it reminds me of like Brene Brown. Like you can't really fall in love if you're not vulnerable, in my opinion. So
Totally. I love Brene
you
Brown.
could get hurt.
Yeah, you can get hurt. And it's like, but it's, yeah. So a couple things. Firstly, Brene Brown is amazing. I'd recommend her books to anybody who hasn't read them. And she, like, I did think about her a lot when I was like, when I found out and I was like deciding how I should tell my followers what happened. And I was like, being vulnerable is a superpower.
Yeah.
And for so long, we've had this narrative that like, if you show emotion, you're weak, or like, if you show emotion, that's like, oh, just a woman like being upset or whatever. And I want to do my very small part to change that narrative. And even like with cheating, to be completely honest with you, like the narrative is always, oh, that girl got cheated on. And it's like, why don't we say that guy is a cheater? You know, like think about, this is a silly example, but like think about, I mean, I'm a millennial. How old are you guys? You guys are all younger than me.
I'm about to be 30, girl.
Okay. So, but like when we were growing up, like the big scandal was like Brad and Jen and Angelina, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Think about the narrative that was in the media. It was Angelina versus Jen. Like two women, not the guy, not the shithead guy. Like, don't you think that that's interesting? And like every time, you know, that happens in Hollywood, it's always like, oh, the poor woman. It's like, no, that's not, let's move away from that narrative. Like, it's not embarrassing to love someone. It's also not embarrassing to trust the person you love.
Right.
So, you know, I thought a lot about Brene Brown when I was going through it, because I was like, if I can show my followers that, you know, you have to be strong and you can't like shut your heart off just because you got betrayed, then that's the silver lining to this.
Yeah.
So here's my hesitancy though. And I don't know, because Issa Rae had like kind of alluded to some things about her being very private, and because I think everyone knew she was engaged because she was like wearing an engagement
she was on
ring.
magazine covers.
Yeah. People just didn't know like who it was or like the details. And like, I wonder if that's because she didn't, whatever. I won't speak for her. For me, I don't really like to share too much because like, you don't want everyone in your business like putting their opinions.
Totally.
Like when my ex was a piece of shit, like every time if I'm like, he did this, he did that, and then you turn around and the person's like, well, that's because blah blah blah.
Right.
Remember that one time he did da da da, and you're like, oh my god, okay, I didn't tell you this for you to like bring it back up to me. Like,
well, that's a good question. Should you talk to your girlfriends like in your group chat about the shitty things your man does?
That is the age-old question. I was actually chatting with a friend yesterday, because you know what? Your friends never get over it. Like, even if it's a small thing, friends never forgive the guy. Like, they never forget the shit that he did. And you have to be so careful, like, especially in the first couple months of dating, I think, what you tell your friends, because like in the first couple months of dating, you literally act like you're an investigative journalist. Like every time you hang out with a guy, you come back to your friends and you're like, and then he ate a sandwich, and then he said this. And it's like, you just blab and blab because you're excited, right? But then like to your point, you obviously sometimes are like, oh yeah, like he couldn't get it up. Or like, oh yeah, he actually said this thing that made me feel weird. Your friends remember every single thing. And if he has a big indiscretion, you know, he's a jerk to you, he ghosts for a while, he, you know, God forbid cheats on you, like blah, blah, blah. Your friends, they never get over it. Like, even if you're like, guys, I swear I'm good. And don't even get me started on your families. Like if you tell your family something about the guy, they'll never like, yeah, it's tricky. You should of course tell your friends, but I do advise that you should just be mindful. If you think it's someone you're going to spend a lot of time with, then don't bitch about like every tiny thing that he does. Because it's just like, it, you know, it builds up in your friend's mind.
We create narratives. You have lots of Tinx truisms. I just made that up. I don't know if anyone's ever said that. Might want to coin it.
I love it.
About dating, and box theory is a big one, and reverse box theory. Can you talk to us about that?
Yes. So box theory is my theory that when a man meets you in a wow, I can't wait to have a glass of wine tonight. I'm like, I literally
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, wow, I can't wait.
I'm drinking a fake disco marg right now.
So box theory, when a guy meets you in a romantic setting, so I'm saying like you go on a blind date, you meet on an app, you meet at a bar, whatever. He puts you in a box. He either wants to date you, he wants to hook up with you, or he wants nothing to do with you. Okay, well, the third option is simple. He wants nothing to do with you. It's pretty clear, move on. Hookup and date box are very different. The point of box theory is that there is very little that you can do to move boxes. Like once a guy has made the decision, like say he has decided he wants to date you, you can get wasted on the first date. You can puke on his shoes. You can like act like a psycho and he'll be like, it's so cute. Like
have sex with him on the first date.
Oh my God.
My boyfriend,
So
I had sex on the first date.
And
we're still together years later.
Yeah, if he wanted to date you, he knew immediately. Vice versa, if you're in the hookup box, you can literally be like, I love Jesus. Like I pray every day. Like I love knitting and crocheting. You cannot have sex with him for a year. He's still not going to want to date you. And then people are like, Tinx, that's so like, that puts all the power in the guy and whatever, but that's not the way to think about it. It should be empowering because the point is you should sleep with a guy when you feel like sleeping with him, when you are ready to. Don't think it's basically box theory is a reaction to all that nonsense that's like, wait 3 dates or wait till he's bought you dinner 5 times or wait till you spent a total of 20 hours. And I'm like, all that like early 90s, 2000s dating rules, that's bullshit. Like you should sleep with someone when you feel good and ready and you feel detached from the outcome. You feel like, I just want to do this for me. Like I feel good about this and don't worry about it. Reverse box theory really applies to especially women in their younger 20s. I feel that so many girls, before even meeting a guy, sometimes will put a guy in the date box. They will literally see a fucking 5 out of 10 on a dating app, and all of a sudden fucking Derek from down the street is their husband. They will literally become obsessed with him. And I've done it. We've all done it. Like your friend is like, oh, I'm going to set you up with someone, his name is like Chad or whatever. And you're like, Chad, I'm going to marry Chad.
Yeah.
And you start to, and you're like, what's Chad like? And they're like, oh, like he's an accountant and he has a dog. And you're like, I love dogs. And I also love counting. And it's just like, you start to like hype yourself up. By the time you get to your first fucking drinks with Chad, he's on such a pedestal and you haven't even met him yet. And you're like, I want to date him. And it just puts the power dynamic totally off. And that's why girls they're so nervous when they go to, I get all these notes like, Tinx, I'm so nervous for a first date. It's like, because you put him on a pedestal.
Yeah.
The first date is like this. You're equal. You're just sniffing each other's butts, seeing if there's a vibe. Like, it's like girls future trip way more than guys. Like,
oh my God. Yes. I was going to say my therapist calls it future tripping. And she's like, you future trip way too hard.
Way too hard. Like girls date like venture capitalists and guys date like stockbrokers. Like guys literally are like, I want that today. And girls are like, well, if, in 3 years and if he got a haircut and he got a headboard and he got a job and he then
we're different. Fine. It's because everyone tells us like our whole lives that we have a timeline, right? Whereas guys don't.
Guys don't. So it's just like, yeah, but we date differently. So basically I'm telling girls, like especially younger ones, if they can learn from my mistakes, like don't let that guy get in that box before he deserves it. Like, is he funny? Is he kind? Does he fucking remember your friends' names? Does he ask you about your horrible boss? Does he make plans in advance? Like, does he respect and value your time? He needs to earn getting in that box. He doesn't just get to fucking arrive in it. That's not right.
Correct.
I love that.
A sermon.
Glenn has a first date tonight.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a first date tonight. We were supposed to go out to dinner, but I'm not gonna make it in time. So we're gonna go see a Flying Lotus show. So we're meeting at a concert.
Can I just preface with the fact that I firmly believe he has already put you in the date box.
Yes. That's very obvious.
How did you guys meet?
Through Sade.
Sade's mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I feel like you're in the date box, especially if he planned dinner and a concert and now it's like a concert, like, yeah, you're in the date box, which is fun. The only thing about a concert is like, try and go for a drink before, because otherwise you're just gonna be like, hey, what's up?
Right. And here's the weird thing. Doors are at 8, but there's like 2 acts. And he's like, yeah, so you can meet me when the doors open. And I'm judging. Is that weird? I think that's odd. Who gets to the concert when the doors open? We don't
He
even
wants
He
know
to
wants to
talk to
spend
you.
time
You're
with
so
you,
mean.
you
Time with-
biatch.
But we could go have drinks instead.
I would suggest that. I would be like, oh, for sure, like let's meet at 8, but want to get a drink and we can like make the second like whatever opener or whatever.
Okay.
Just suggest it. Whatever.
I'll do it. I'm gonna try it.
'Cause
I have
otherwise
another
you're
question.
gonna
Oh,
be
go
like-
ahead.
Yeah, because otherwise you're gonna be like listening to the people you don't care about and not talking to him. And then so it's like go have a drink, vibe, and then you'll have a more fun time like when the main act is on.
We've actually met. We've never met before. He lives in the Virgin Islands. It's like a whole
He's
thing.
a barrister.
He's a barrister.
Oh.
Oh, you would know about that.
Right,
I
rich
would-
mom vibes.
Barrister is such a rich mom vibe. That's unbelievable. I love that for you. Okay.
No, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, you've also said that ghosting is little dick energy. I find myself having to ghost people a lot because people come at me people get crazy. So like I had a plumber that came by a couple weeks ago.
Like an actual plumber?
An actual plumber came to fix my pipes.
In
And then
uniform.
he like wrote his number on my receipt and he was kind of fine. And
Yeah.
we texted and then he just started getting wild. He was just like, oh, can our first date be at the altar? I want to do this and that with you. And I just stopped answering him. Is that ghosting is appropriate in that situation?
Okay, that is like a crazy situation. I would even still in that situation, I would maybe be like, hey, like I actually started in that situation, I would maybe condone a white lie and just be like, I started seeing someone, like, please don't text me again. Thanks, like whatever. But for the most part, I do think ghosting is small dick energy. I'm talking about like if you have gone on a date with someone, it's just like it's unacceptable. I just think like we're all grown-ups and I we have to hold ourselves to a high standard. And it's like it's only scary until you write out the text and you're like, that was literally not a big deal. And that's why I'm happy to write it out. Like literally every Ask Me Anything someone will ask me. And I'm like, I'm happy to write it out because it's definitely hard to get over the hump, especially again, if you're a little younger and you like think that's so cringe to be honest, but just to be like, hey, like it was cool getting to know you. I don't feel a romantic vibe. I really respect you. And I know you're looking for the real deal too. So I don't want to waste anyone's time. Good luck out there. And it's just
And
like,
I love that. It's like,
simple.
why do we play these games in dating? Like, just be honest. But also, I know we've talked a lot about boys, and sometimes I don't like talking about boys. Do you have any like friend advice? Like, have you ever had to like break up with a friend? Like anything like that?
gosh, yeah, friendships. Well, first and foremost, I always say that like female friendships are the most important thing to me. I went to an all-girls school my whole life. And then as I just mentioned, I was in a sorority. Like, I do think that female friendships are like, to me, the most important thing. And regardless of how I feel about her now, J-Lo, one time I heard her speak at the Wing and in New York. I don't know if you guys remember the Wing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was a member there and she came to talk and she was like, I've had so many boyfriends. Like she was making fun of herself in a cute way, which was nice. I feel like we never see that from J-Lo. She was like, I have had so many boyfriends. Like I've been married, I've been divorced, like whatever. And she was like, but you know what? The women in your life, like are the people who show up for you when shit hits the fan, like really bad shit. And that is true. And I think being a good friend and being a loyal friend is so important. I mean, one piece of friend advice that I say a lot is like, learn to feel your friends' accomplishments and successes and happinesses in your bones. Like,
Oh, I love that.
again, like there's a lot of comparison out there. And I think we're made to feel like women always have a scarcity mindset. Like we always feel like there isn't enough to go around for us. And we like men, jobs, everything. And so like sometimes we get in each other's way because we're like, we get competitive with each other. That's not true. And the way that we're going to raise ourselves up is by recognizing that her success is not my failure. And that is really, really key. So like I always tell the girls, like, if you're, because they're like, well, my friends are married, or like, oh, my friend has a better job, or she's making more money than me. I'm like, feel like that's a win for the team. Like when your friend gets engaged, you're like, fuck yes, like my friend found the love of her life. Like even if your friend goes on a good date, like I'm sure you've all had it where, that type of like toxic, like mid-20s friend where you'll be like, oh my God, the date was amazing. And she'll be like, oh, I haven't been on a good date in so long.
Yeah.
That is like that. We're not about that energy. Like if something good happens to your friend, you have to be like, yeah, like that's a feather in my cap too. Like that's for the team. That's something that I always tell girls to focus on is like the women that you surround yourself with, like they're who has your back and who bolster you up. So feel their success as your own joy and support them any way you can. And that will in turn like help you. So
I love that.
That's a word. Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that because we interviewed a journalist. Her name is Marjan Carlos, and I think she turned 35, if not a little bit older than that. She might be like 37. And she was talking about how everybody has their own timeline and how she thought she might have been at a different place at 37. She's unmarried now. She still feels like she has accomplishments that she wants to make in her career, but she's really working on that, like resisting the desire to compare.
Right.
And I also just love that, like, I'm about to turn 30 this year. You're 30, creating content and kind of stepping into this new chapter that maybe you've never even imagined could have been a part of your story.
Yeah.
Right. What was a big lesson that you learned in your 20s? And what would you say is like 30-year-old energy? Because I need to know what I'm stepping into.
30s are, get excited. It's literally the best decade of your life. Well, so far, I feel like it's such an incredible, it's such an incredible feeling. Like I always tell girls, like I literally found my dream job at 29. Okay. So like the timelines that we tell ourselves are fake. Like they are completely made up. Like the only one, which is real, and I'm totally acknowledging it, so you guys know I'm not bullshitting you, is like, yeah, women have a biological timeline. That's something that unfortunately we have to consider. Okay, that's a separate issue. Aside from that, there is no timeline. There is no timeline to finding the love of your life. There is no timeline to finding your job, your dream job, or your passion, or even your dream hobby. And the fact that we're fed this notion that like, you know, you hit your 20s and then it's like, well, the clock is ticking. You better get that house in the suburbs. You better get that perfect job.
Right.
It's so detrimental to our progress as women, as human beings. And it just couldn't be further from the truth. Like as soon as you release yourself from that timeline, I think for me, like when I was 29 and I made the decision, I was like, I'm going to go content full time, like as a 30-year-old person, like I'm going to become a 30-year-old TikToker. As soon as I released myself from the timeline, I felt this incredible sense of freedom. And I love the phrase, like, it's not too late and you are not too old. And I think that that goes with everything. And like, it's just, your 30s are like, oh my God, it's like you can breathe. It's like I feel a lot less insecure. I feel a lot more like I know myself. I feel more confident for asking what I want in work, in relationships, in bed, in friendships. Like you just feel more like I know who I am, I know what I deserve, and I know my worth. And that's why like so much of what I try to tell my girls is like I'm trying to tell them that earlier. Like I wish I had known like what I deserved when I was 25. Like I wish I knew what I knew now then. So that's kind of what I'm trying to tell them. It's like, don't take shit from guys. Like don't waste time on someone who literally doesn't know your last name. Like, do you know how much fucking time I spent in my 20s, like pining over some douchebag named Chris who literally didn't know my last name? And I was like, but do you think he's going to text me? And if I can save a girl from 2 weeks of that, that's a win. So
I feel like your early 20s is unfortunately like a lot of undoing, which is like natural, but it's an undoing of things that are like put on us that are fake and like not true. Like, I don't know who's doing it. I don't know who's sprinkling the lies. The media, but you know, like,
but I do think it in some ways it is. And like, listen, I don't want to pin everything on like rom-coms in the media, but like, you know, I do think a lot about, I made a TikTok about this, like the stereotypical movie of like the girl in her young 20s who moves to New York. And anybody who lives in New York knows that you don't arrive in a shiny yellow cab with your 2 suitcases to your somehow perfect apartment and slam the door. Then, oh, you meet your best friend, and oh, your job that is actually supposed to be for someone who's 45, the girl who's 20 gets it. And she has money for shoes. And like, a rat never runs over her foot. It's like, she never gets like ghosted by some JP Morgan finance douche. Like And then so everybody who moves to New York and is young and is like, oh, I'm actually broke and I hate my job and I hate my roommate and I hate that a rat ran over my foot last night at 2 a.m. They feel even worse about themselves because they're like, but why does my life not look like this? So all this to say comes back to my number one mantra, which is comparison is the thief of joy. Like you can't compare yourself to media, your friends, whatever, because it's just like, that's my main message that I wish I'd known in my 20s. I would say I learned that when I was like 25, 26, because before that I was like dying. I was like, oh my God, I worked in fashion and all my Stanford counterparts worked in like, or classmates worked in like tech and banking, and they were making a lot more money than me. And I was like, I feel like such a failure. Like I went to Stanford, like I should be doing better. I should be making more money. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then I moved and I like kept changing jobs. And I was like, I'm not in a relationship. I don't like my job. I'm not making good money. I don't know that I want to live in San Francisco for the rest of my life. And it was just like this comparison was making me feel 10 times worse on top of trying to figure out like what the fuck I was doing with my life. And then finally I got to New York and I was like, oh, this is a terrifying place. And I'm not going to survive here if I don't learn to stop comparing myself. And then you layer on Instagram, you go on Instagram, right? Freaking jump in front of moving traffic because everybody seems to be on vacation and having
all the time.
It's like, you could drive yourself crazy. So that's why you have to like rewrite the neural pathway. And every time you think, oh, but she has a great boyfriend, Control Alt Delete that. Comparison is the thief of joy. The only thing that matters is your present day, your goals, what you're grateful for. Ground yourself in that.
Tell me you're writing a book. Or like
right. I saw the eyebrow lift.
Right.
As much as my Botox doctor will allow, by the way.
Right. We both, Shadi and I both just got Botox in our foreheads, and I'm just like loving how I can. It's like, just my eyes can open only.
Yeah, I'm like, what? No, I can't move my forehead. And I like.
It's because she's an earth sign, so she's smart.
Chelsea has this like
Capricorn.
Like agenda, this earth sign agenda. I mean, I have a lot of earth in my chart, but she just likes to slip it in when she can.
Lean into it, earthy.
Or I love earth signs. We're grounded. We're very like,
Yes, but I totally agree with everything you said, but I just want to add another layer into it, and we can get into it, we cannot, but also like the whole like don't compare yourself. Comparison is a thief of joy. I agree, but there are statistics, right? Especially for Black women. We are the least swiped on. We are the least married. So I do think that like we do need to date intentionally if we want to get married. And like there's just like a different layer. Like even if you look at media, like we're just not, unfortunately, like
not represented.
Not what people look at as like hashtag goals. Right. So how do you guys feel about that? I don't know.
That's real as hell. Truly. Yeah. I mean, I look around and I see so many of my like incredible Black friends, women friends that are just like so impressive, killing it, single. We hosted a speed dating event last week, and the ratio was just giving what it looks like in the world. Mm-hmm. The women showed up, qualified women. Beautiful. I personally feel like some of the men we pulled, we dug them up, we pulled them. Can you please come? Like that was the energy,
Yeah. No, in Issa's book, she quotes a statistic, which I don't remember the exact statistic, but actually educated Black women are the least married demographic in the US, which is just like such a horrific and terrifying statistic, and Asian men, I guess. But yeah, I mean, there's no representation, and I think that in that case, yeah, I agree. You would have to date more intentionally. You should date more intentionally and be even more mindful of your time, and just make sure that you're getting what you deserve and continuing to know your worth, even though it's not being honored in every way. Like it's
a different experience. Like you have to also pull away maybe different things. I mean, everyone struggles with imposter syndrome, right? But that is like a very known thing, especially amongst like Black women in their careers. Like there's like I think another layer of things that we've been kind of taught and things that are ingrained in us that are very true, like work twice as hard, get half as much, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think there's also a level and a layer of also just being like, I don't give a fuck. We had Ebony K. Williams on a few weeks ago, and she was like, I am like divorcing myself from making white people feel comfortable because like I don't need to do that anymore. And like I'm doing that at the age of however 30 plus she is. And it's like such a delicate balance, right? Because you still want to have food on the table now. Like you don't want to like piss everybody off.
Right.
But I think it also comes to a degree of like, okay, maybe I spent a lot of my life in these spaces where I was trying to accommodate everybody. And like, I can't do that.
And making white people comfortable is like a huge energy drain that Black people bear the burden of, especially Black women. And you think about like, I think about like the trope of like the angry Black woman and how my Black female friends are afraid to show like even mild levels of emotion in fear of triggering that. And it's just like, I thinking Gabrielle Union's book. I don't know if you guys have read that.
But I know it. Yeah.
It's literally, the book changed my life. Like I worship her. I'm fucking obsessed with her. You should read it. I guess she does talk about it directly, but she talks a lot about being a Black woman in Hollywood and navigating that space, dating as a Black woman in Hollywood, and also like just not trying to make white people comfortable, which in Hollywood is extra difficult.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Like, it was a very illuminating book. She's an icon in every way. She has amazing dating advice, and I would recommend that book to absolutely everyone because it's a phenomenal read.
Yeah, I think it's called We're Going to Need More Wine, right?
Oh, cute.
Yeah. Yes.
We need to read
she's
that.
actually coming out with a new book in fall. I literally I'm obsessed with it. She's one of my idols.
Well, I know the Times is pulling up on you soon.
Yes.
But
what would you do?
Yeah, let's do the what would you do?
Yes.
Ooh, yes.
I don't know if you know the City High song. It's like, what would
you do if your son was at home
crying
alone on the bedroom
hungry, and the only way to feed him is to sleep with the man for
Oh, you
are
the
only one who had a baby. That's no excuse to be living all crazy. Her in the eye said, "Every day I wake up hoping to die." I literally know the whole.
That is such an iconic song. Imagine we were young talking about what would you do if your son was at home crying all over.
I mean, I used to sing it all the time. The beat just like slapped. I really didn't realize like they were
City High.
Best song. It's the best song ever.
Good.
I can do the whole thing. I love it. But so
but
annoying.
It's a segment that we have basically, and we get listener letters, and I know that you are such a good advice giver. So typically we do this without the guests, but like we wanted to do it with you. So we have two. I'm going to read it really fast. The first one is, Dear BGT, I am 30 years old and new to LA. Dating has always kind of sucked, but in this city, it's even more annoying. I have been seeing this guy who is 35 since the start of summer. We go out pretty often, and I honestly was kind of starting to like him. I expressed that I wanted to have deeper convos since our relationship felt a little surface level, and he all of a sudden got very weird. The day I brought it up to him was really rough for us. We continued our date together, but we kept throwing shade at each other as if we were both annoyed by each other that day. By the end of the date, I told him my intentions were to date to find a long-term partner, and then asked what his intentions were. I wasn't asking like, what are we, or can we be boyfriend, girlfriend, but I just wanted to know if he was dating seriously or just dating casually. I am still waiting to hear back. I am wondering if I don't hear from him in a day or week or however much time, if I should reach out or just move on.
Ma'am, you say you're still waiting to hear from him?
I'm actually devastated. Hold a funeral immediately.
Hold a funeral. Okay. Also, side question. Also, do you suggest asking guys what their intention is at the start of dating, or just go with the flow and have fun?
Oh,
no, because like if you're confused, they don't like you enough. Like if you're confused, he's dating casually. Like when a guy wants to date you. I feel so bad for this person because that sucks. And the fact that they've been seeing each other for a while now and he literally didn't even give her an answer. She's still waiting. Like, no, she has to cut it off immediately.
Well, any dating advice? Because she said dating in LA is really hard.
Dating in LA is difficult. I'm always reluctant to be like, to give in and say it's difficult. Like, yes, it's LA. Everybody's beautiful. Everybody's flaky. And everybody has Peter Pan syndrome. However, if you choose to live here, like the worst thing you can do is think like, oh, it's hard and I'm complaining, because then it's like, that's the energy you'll have around you. So I'm always really careful. I'm like, don't be negative about it. Like if you live here, like you live here, and there are good people everywhere, and you can find like, I believe people have like a lot of different soulmates. So like, I don't like to buy into that. I would say date on the West Side. I don't know where she lives, but date on the West Side for sure. And don't invest too much time in someone before you know you can suss them out, right? So like, the beginning of summer, like what? It's August now. So you've been dating him for like 2 months or whatever. Don't make sure you're matching their energy. Like if someone can't be bothered to like plan a date in advance, plan a concert and dinner, whatever for you, like then they don't care about you. And I'm not saying this to be harsh. I'm saying it because like our time is so valuable.
Yes.
And it's the only limited resource we have. And yet we will go on dates with people we don't really like. We'll waste an entire summer on someone who doesn't even fucking text us back. It's the only limited resource we have. So we need to get wiser about it. Like, think about, I had an amazing therapist once. She's like, think about like when you're going to buy like a new purse, you think about it for weeks. You're like, should I buy it? Like, oh my God, you guys like it? Should I get black or brown? Like, what do you think?
us.
I could wear it like this, whatever. But then we'll say yes to all these weird time commitments. Time is the only thing that it's short. We got one life. Like if he's not valuing your time and giving you what you want, cut it.
Yeah.
Should you cut it or become friends?
No.
Friends. Well, if you can successfully transition into a friendship, sure, because it's always good to like, keep the circle growing. But
I mean, this person doesn't seem like the nicest guy, like that thoughtful of your time. So like, does that then shift when he's a friend? Like maybe the pressure is alleviated, but like, I don't want my friend to be flaky like that either.
Totally. Yeah. Just like, honestly, yeah.
It sounds immature.
Well, Aya Bridget, they've been going out on dates. They've been enjoying each other's company. But when she brought up, how do you feel? Like, are you serious? Then he got weird. But okay. So that's a bad sign. We say red flag.
Red flag.
The second and last, what would you do for this week is, Dear BGT, I know Sade, sorry, I had COVID last week. I know Sade lived in Cali for some time and loved it, but I am more of a Chelsea. I love New York City. I think it's the best city in the world. I may have a new job opportunity in LA though, and I'm just worried that I won't fit into that LA quote unquote kind of culture. Plus, I have such a solid community here in NYC, and my family is here too. Any advice on moving to a new city, especially across the damn country?
Okay, first, can I just preface with, I did not love Cali. I tolerated my initial experience, and then I made lemonade with my lemons because that's where I was going to be.
She lived in the Bay.
We're all New Yorkers.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
I know you're West Coast, but
yeah.
But you've done NorCal and SoCal, so you kind of have like a
Yeah. The Bay is tough. Yeah.
I
know. I take that back. I love my time there, but I understand why people have grievances with the Bay Area. I think it can be very homogenous, and I think it can be very dry. So I get it, but
not another Patagonia fucking best.
A sea of Brads and Chads, all and mid-level engineers in Google, and they're
not mid-level
with their like not even like entry level. I'm like, all you can offer me is free lunch at Google. Like,
no, and that is a personality trait. That is how they introduce themselves. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
bizarre. It's
like, hi, I work at Google.
Yes.
Well, I guess in LA it might be like, hi, I'm an actor.
I'm a model.
In LA, it's like, I'm 3 degrees removed from this celebrity. Like, that's the vibe. But the thing is, there's assholes in every city and there's good people in every city. And you can choose to see whoever you want to see. And my advice is, after having moved from London to Stanford to Stanford to San Francisco to New York to LA.
Wow.
Change is really hard, but you never know if you're going to like something until you try it. And there's a perfect city for everybody. Like I really try not to actually say mean things about other cities because like I get it. Like, I get it. My friends who love New York, I totally get it. There's amazing things about it. The energy is, there's nothing like it. And it's the most energizing city in the world. There's good things about LA too. Like, if you have a good job opportunity, I always think, especially if you're young, like, try it, like, follow that curiosity, like, give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? You come home. Like, who cares? You know, you're young. It's an experience. It's another bead on your necklace to, like, in the story of your life. And you can learn something about yourself. And even if that's that you hate LA, that's something valuable to know. Otherwise, you'll always wonder.
Very much true. I agree in that. Like, I think the experiences part is like the best. Like, when else would you do it? I mean, you could, but think about like all the other elements that come into your life as you get a little bit older. It's not as easy to just like pick up and move and transition. So like, if you have this, right. So like, if you have this opportunity, like, take it, lean in.
Like a job, like, already.
Right.
Want to move and they can't find a job. Like, I moved to LA and I was like literally doing all sorts of random odd jobs. So like, you have the security of that. That's already like a built-in network and a built-in like structure. So that's like half the battle.
Well, talking with you, we are probably even more obsessed than we were before. Where can our people find you? Is there anything that you want to announce to our listeners that you're working on, or?
I have sweat patches. That's what I want to announce.
I'm an exclusive
at It's Me Tinx on Instagram, at Tinx on TikTok. I do Ask Me Anythings on Mondays and Thursdays on my Instagram, and I love you guys, and I love all my followers, and I'm really honored that you asked me to be on your show, and it was so fun chatting. You're all really good interviewers, and I always say that like podcasting is kind of like dating, because you know it's going to be a good conversation when you sit down and you just like kind of go into it. And it's not like, you know, when you sit down on a date and they're like, so where are you from? And you're just like, this is going to be a really long vodka soda. And like, it was same with podcasting when they're like, tell like your story from the time you were born. And you're just like, okay, here we go. Let me just like put on my clown face and let's get to it. But you guys, it was just like chatting with friends. So thank you.
Woo! That's the goal.
That's the goal.
And next time I'm in New York, let's all get a glass of wine.
Let's do it.
Maybe we'll hit Tribeca with our Tribeca Rich Mom.
I love it. Okay, I have to run, but you guys
have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much. Bye.
What a gem.
So
Listeners, we love that conversation. As always, if you have a what would you do, email us at hello@blackgirlstexting. You can also DM us at blackgirlstexting on Instagram. You can also tweet us now at blackgirlstext1. We have a website, blackgirlstexting.com. We have a Patreon, blackgirlstext/Patreon, or is it
Patreon/blackgirlstexting?
Okay, I never get that right, but you could find it if you really wanted to. And
Very
also
2 words in and look it up.
Yeah. And literally, like,
I like this stuff.
Shout out to our patrons specifically. Shout out to all of our listeners, but specifically our patrons. We are an independent podcast. Yes. We are funding ourselves. We have nobody behind us pushing this machine. So shout out to you guys, because it really helps every studio session, every event that we get to throw. So yeah.
Yes.
Correct.
But the bills are high. Con Ed, raising the bills. We need you. My Con Ed bill was really high this month, and I was like, oh!
Yeah, Con Ed bills are high.
I try not to look at those.
People think that they're like $60. That is the time that's no more.
Well, mine were $60, but now with this heat and
mine are like,
well, because you're running ACs and all of that.
$200.
But I stay with the AC though.
Maybe no, man, I'll be turning that shit off like I'm an old West Indian mother. I'm like, turn it off.
And the lights, I leave with all the lights on. Oh my gosh, I shouldn't say that's bad for the
planet. I'm like, what do y'all think this shit is?
Wait, you guys, side note, why am I looking at an Airbnb in Oaxaca and half of the pictures are just of this man spraying everything down with
COVID free.
It's just pictures of this man spraying things down.
Mexico has this saying, and like Susana is like your health, but they made it into like Susanna. So they'll be like Susana.
There's like, a lot of Susana in this place. Yeah. Look, they got him spraying down the doorknob. That's a picture on the Airbnb site. I stand.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Okay, guys. I
all
know
right,
we're
y'all.
supposed to
Henry's
record the
in-
Patreon, but
Yeah,
I
we-
actually have to go hop on a work meeting. So I have to run.
All
Okay.
right.
We
Bye,
love
y'all.
you for listening.
Bye.
Thank you, Tinx, for coming on.
We love you. Bye.